Hey, it's Jacqueline, and today I want to talk about breaking a bad habit. This is a really, really important topic because I know, beginning of the year, we're still in that mindset of like, okay, cool, I really want to get my life under control. I want to change a bunch of things, which I think that's a great thing. I'm not someone who's against changing your life, obviously, but I just want to help you go about it in a way that you're actually going to be able to stick with it. I know for myself, the reasons I picked like all or nothing plans, like Whole30 or 100-day running streaks, was because I just thought, I really need to discipline myself. I'm not sticking with things. This is the thing that's going to make me disciplined, actually stick with it. And I did for the 30 days, or I did for the 100 days, but then it didn't last. And I went right back to my old bad habits of being pretty lazy, not being very active, and also eating a lot of processed food, eating a lot of sugar, and just kind of going off the rails with that. So what I want to talk about today is breaking a bad habit. And I want to give you a little bit more insight into why these things happen and give you some control, give you some insight so that you can start to figure out your life and you have control over these bits and pieces. So breaking a bad habit. So the first thing that I want to talk about is, this blew my mind when I learned about this, but the reason you do the habit, it's not actually about the thing that you're doing. I know this sounds, probably not saying this right, but like you do the habit because you're craving a change in your internal state. So when you go and eat potato chips, yes, the potato chips are delicious and salty and whatever, but you're craving some sort of change in internal state. So that might be that you're bored and you're looking for some source of entertainment, so you turn to potato chips. Or maybe you are sad and you want relief from that sadness. You are craving a change in your internal state, so you turn to potato chips, okay? So if we want to break a bad habit, if you want to stop being a boredom eater, or you want to stop being an emotional eater, or maybe some other examples, non-food related, you want to stop scrolling on your phone so much, or you want to stop laying around so much. These are bad habits that we all have fallen into. But if you want to break that bad habit, the first thing that you need to do is make sure you have a solid aspirational identity. So then when it comes down to the time when you realize like, oh my gosh, I'm about to eat 18 million potato chips, you're like, oh shoot, that's right. I'm working on being a different person. So I need to like mindfully, intentionally make the decision to stop what I'm doing or do something different. And then that's the other thing, is you need a different response. You need a new response ready. So when you're bored and you turn to eating potato chips and you realize, oh shoot, I'm only doing this because I'm bored. I'm not actually hungry. I need something else to relieve this boredom. I need to have something else to do. I am a big fan of harm reduction instead of abstinence. I don't believe that if you are bored that you should never be able to get to eat fun food, or that you should just have to sit there in your boredom and never do anything. So when I say harm reduction, we're going to reduce harm instead of just completely wiping it out. So reducing harm could be having a single serving portion, or picking something else that's not as harmful. It reduces harm. You're still getting some sort of pleasure or satisfaction from it. And I'll give some examples in a little bit how I've used harm reduction instead of just abstinence. And it really helps. It has helped me so much, especially. So now I'm not like white knuckling through things. And I've actually, I get to do something that feels good. So yeah, let's jump in. So I have a diagram up here, and I will post a picture of it as well. So if you're listening to the podcast, you can see this picture, but this is from James Clear. This is from Atomic Habits. And when a habit is happening, there is a cue. So something obvious, something's happening. And then it triggers a craving. You're craving relief from some negative emotional state or internal state. You perform a response and you get a reward. It's like, yes, I've gotten relief from this craving. So let's pretend that you're bored and you see your phone. Your phone is the cue that's like, we can get some entertainment. We can get some relief from this boredom. All you need to do is open up the Instagram app, or open up the TikTok app, or open up the Facebook app, or open up the Pinterest app, or open up the whatever. You can get some relief from this boredom by opening that app. And then you do it. We've all done it. And we're like, yes, I've gotten relief from this. I've gotten some sort of entertainment. It usually doesn't feel that great because now you're on your phone for like a half hour and you're like, shoot, what just happened to my life? So if that's your bad habit, is constantly checking your phone, you have some options. You can move your phone, make the cue not as obvious. Don't have your phone right next to you all the time. 10, 12, 15 years ago, we were not so addicted to our phones. We did not carry these tiny little computers with us everywhere we went. So if we were able to live that life then, you actually can live that life now. It just takes the mindfulness and that decision. Like, I no longer want to be that person who's constantly checking their phone. I'd like to be someone who can mindfully have a conversation, or someone who is present in their body and not constantly staring at a tiny screen. Okay, so that's solid aspirational identity. So now when you are bored, and you, instead of seeing your phone, maybe you see a coloring book. You see a coloring book. This has been so great for me. Like, this is my bad art journal. This has been going on since the beginning of the pandemic, and it's been really great. So when I am bored, instead of going and opening my phone, instead of opening my phone, instead of clicking over onto Facebook or another social media app, I grab my markers and I just doodle and I color. And that doesn't need to be good art. This is my bad art journal. But my response is very simple: workbook, or book, markers, color, whatever. Nothing needs to be perfect. And now I've gotten relief from this craving. I've gotten relief from the boredom. So that is harm reduction. I'm not just sitting there. It's not abstinence. I'm not just sitting there like, oh, don't do anything. Just sit here. Don't do anything. I'm still getting relief from that boredom. And this has been really great because this is like a big issue that I used to have when it came to creating podcasts and uploading them. It was like anytime I was bored for a millisecond, I would click over and be on my phone right away. And then, like 4 or 5 minutes go by. And so this process of like getting the podcast together, it does take some time because I have to piece the music together and whatever. It does take some time, but it's like I would get so carried away being on my phone that this process would take even longer. And then guess what? I didn't want to do it. It became this big hassle. I didn't want to put the podcast together. And I would get confused about the different steps. So now it's like having something like the bad art journal. Oh, that was a fun one too. Having something like this, I'm still getting the relief from the boredom, but I'm not getting tied up in that thing. So I've broken a bad habit of being on my phone constantly. I've supported a new aspirational identity, which is I want to be more creative. I want to do more fun things. I want to actually live my life and not just be someone who's consuming other people's lives. I want to create my life and not just consume other people's lives. Doesn't mean that I'm never on social media. I am. It's just that, again, harm reduction. I have periods in my day where I allow myself to go on there, but I have that structure and boundaries. Another one that I hear from a lot of people, especially right now during the pandemic, is you're bored or you're overwhelmed. Let's do that one. You're overwhelmed, you're doing work stuff, you're kind of just stressed out, and you look up and you see the kitchen. The kitchen is right there, right? Because we're all working at home. We're all like 5 feet away from the kitchen. Oh my gosh, when we lived in our studio apartment, we were in our kitchen. Our living room was our kitchen, right? But you're overwhelmed, you're stressed, you want relief from that overwhelm. You want relief from that stress. You see the kitchen, you're like, ooh, I can just go walk over there and open a bag of chips or cookies or whatever, and I'll get relief from that boredom, relief from that stress, relief from that overwhelm. Again, harm reduction, what can we do? Okay, cool. If not being 3 feet away from your kitchen isn't a possibility, some things that you can do to break that bad habit of that boredom eating or that stress eating. One, you could have healthier foods there. Two, you could reduce harm by allowing yourself to still have some cookies or still have some chips, but like maybe it's a single serving bag of chips. Maybe it's a single serving bag of cookies. I've had clients who no longer buy the big packages of chips, but only buy the single serving bags. Or when they buy the package of chips, they put the chips into little Tupperware. Don't use single serving plastic, but they put it into Tupperware. So now it's like already set out. So like, I would like something a little bit fun. I'd like some relief from this boredom. I'd like something a little bit fun. Oh, okay, cool. I am allowed to have some chips. I'm just not going to eat all of the chips. I'm going to have some chips without eating all of the chips. Look, this single serving of chips has relieved that boredom. I got a little bit of fun into my life, right? Reducing harm instead of abstinence. Here's another one. You get into a fight with your spouse and you see the freezer and you know there is a package of ice cream in there. And so you learned in the past, like when you're angry, turn to ice cream. So again, you are craving relief from that anger. You don't want to feel angry anymore. You want to feel happy and comforted and just like fine, right? So your response, you go and get the ice cream and you eat it, and then you get a little bit of that comfort. But for most people, when I talk to them, the ice cream, it's not just a couple of bites, it turns into the whole pint and then it goes overboard. So again, the response, you can reduce harm. You can buy single serving packages of ice cream. You can allow yourself to have the ice cream, but scoop it out and you have a small cup, and that's just it. You are only allowed to eat from that. You are no longer a person who binge eats an entire pint of ice cream or an entire gallon of ice cream. That's just not you. It's just not something that you do. So that solid aspirational identity really comes in hand because, I mean, the thing about being an adult is you don't have a parent above you or a boss at home telling you what to do every minute of your life. So you have to be that adult for yourself. You have to be that parent for yourself that's looking out for you and setting boundaries up. No one's going to do it for you. No one is coming to save you. You can work with a coach, a personal trainer, a therapist, whatever. But like at the end of the day, it comes down to you and your decision making. And it's like,